Hi, this is Bob Umlas, and in today's video I'm going to explain something that I just hadn't seen on recordings on the videos before. So it's not an advanced topic, but I think it's something that should be explained. And that is the page layout tab in the ribbon. Specifically three groups: the page setup group, the scale to fit, and sheet options. The data I have here just goes down to J51. Nothing special. I'm calling row 1 titles and column A titles, but I haven't set that up yet. If I were to print preview this, you'll see that the titles along the top and left appear on page 1, but as I go to the next page, the titles across the top are missing, and I continue on the next page, now the titles on the left are missing. So they're not yet set up as titles. I will explain how to do that, and the last page just contains that little bit. We can see this in a view called Page Break Preview, which is down by the zoom slider. When I go here, it shows me that it's going to break between rows 37 and 38 and between columns H and I. The dotted line shows that. I can drag this dotted line. I put the page break now between columns F and G. And I can actually drag it all the way out to the right, and forcing it to be just now 2 pages. I can also drag this down to the bottom. It's now all 1 page. You can also see the effects of the dragging I just did, is that the width is automatic, height is automatic, but the scaling went down to 74%. If I reset all that, I go to breaks, remove page break, breaks, remove page break. Or if I go to change this back to 100%, you see it's back to the original. And if I set this to make sure it's 1 page tall by 1 page wide, it's also 74%. It's disabled, but it shows you what it would be. I'm going to go back to the beginning and look at the options in the page layout tab. First is margins. If I click on the arrow next to margins, I see last custom setting. So the last time I set up my custom margins, I set it at 1.5 inches top, a bottom of 1/2 inch, etc. There's also the normal setting, the wide setting, the narrow setting, and I'm going to change the custom margins, and I'm going to make the top 1 and the header 1/2, and I'll make the left 0.5. I'm hitting the tab 0.5. I'm making the bottom 1 and the footer 0.5, and I'll just click OK. If I now go to the margins, you'll see those settings are now here in the last custom setting. The orientation, of course, is just portrait or landscape. Default is portrait. Then on the size, this is the paper size. In the US, there's these 2 main ones: letter 8.5 by 11 or legal 8.5 by 14. I'm sure you could find your paper size listed in here somewhere. If not, you can just click on more paper sizes. Print area. You can set it or clear it. If I make this selection and then do set print area, and then I look at, this is my QAT for print preview full screen, that's it. Page 1 of 1, there is no next page. I set the print area. By closing this, you can see that this also gave it the name print_area. If I go back to print area, I can clear the print area. Now, clearing the print area doesn't mean I'm clearing what's selected. If I have this selected, and I can still clear the print area. Now let's see, if you were aware, you saw that there was another option in here, and let's show what that is. Supposing I want to print this, so I'm setting that as a set print area, but I also want to print this, whatever's in there. And I can add that to the print area. So the print area now consists of 2 sections, and they will print on separate pages. Back to print area, clear the print area. But another way of clearing print area, by the way, is selecting everything, all million rows and 16,000 columns, and set the print area. You'll notice now there's no named range called print area. Breaks. You can insert a page break or remove a page break. Notice now the Scout to Fit tab has changed this down to 70%. When I reset all page breaks, I'm not just getting rid of page breaks, I'm also resetting this to one page, and 70%. Watch, reset all page breaks. I surprised myself. Normally reset all page breaks changes that back, but I guess, because I've set it. If it was automatic and still 70%, then when I reset all page breaks, there it is, goes back to 100. It's just something to be aware of. So if I insert a page break between, I'm currently in cell E6, and if I set a page break there by inserting it, you can see that line above and to the left. If I now go back to the page break preview, you'll see a solid line indicating it's a real page break. The dotted line down here is a natural page break. It's just where it would flow. I've made it be 6 pages long. And of course I go back, reset or remove page break, and this is back to the way it was originally. Let's go back to normal view. I can set a background. Choose a picture for your background and add some personality to your worksheet. Personally, I don't like it at all. So let's say on the search I put in cat, and I do a Bing search, and I pick that, insert it. It's putting it in the background. It's pretty large, and if I even scroll down to the bottom of the worksheet, the workbook, I'm in row 1,000,000, I still see a cat, and the cat is there over and over again. And if I reduce the view to 10%, I still see a large cat. So the background is for view only. It won't print. If I go to the print preview, it's still what it looks like. So it's for you only, and I don't recommend it because it makes things hard to read unless you got a very light background. So once you set a background, you can always delete it. And let's go back to normal view. Okay. Print titles. Print titles is, when I click on it, you get the page setup dialog with the sheet tab highlighted. If I cancel this and I just click on the page setup dialog, you see I get the same dialog but with the page setup tab. Sorry, the page layout selected instead of sheet. So I could come here directly, or I can click on print titles. Print titles has to do with this area, the rows to repeat at the top and the columns to repeat at the left. When I click on here, I must include entire rows. I'm choosing 2 so that there's a space, since row 2 is blank, between the titles and the real data. I have a spacing. And if I click on column A, I will also repeat that. Now I go to click OK, and I go back to my print views. You see the titles on top and right, top and left, but the titles are now still here. And continue, the titles are on the left, and at the end the titles are always in view. That's what print titles does, is it always leaves them in view. Okay, we've already looked at the scale to fit a little bit. We can change it down to a particular percentage, or we can make sure that it fits on 1 page wide, or if it's a really wide, really long document, big one, I might want to do 2 pages wide, and then how high do I want it to be, also how many pages wide. On the page setup dialog launcher, which is this little arrow here, I can also do that here, fit to how many pages wide by how many pages tall. If I want to make sure that it's like 1 page wide, but I don't care how tall it is, I just leave this blank. And when I go to print preview, it's 1 page tall, 1 page wide. The next page, which I can click down here, so it's 2 pages tall but 1 page wide. Also down here, some commands are almost hidden. Way down on the right, I can show the margins, and I can also zoom to page. It makes it a little bigger. When I show the margins, I can actually drag the margins to make them bigger or smaller. Let's go back to here. And notice I changed it to 1 page wide and automatic pages high. Sheet options. For printing, I can print the grid lines or not. I can print the headings or not. If I click on print headings, then what we're doing is seeing the row numbers and the column headings. For viewing, I could turn off the viewing. There's no grid lines and no headings. I would think you'd always want to leave them set this way, unless you're writing what's known as a dictator app, where it's an application for a user where you take total control, including changing the ribbon around. Anyway, I hope that clears up any gaps that might have been there, and feel free to add comments, and thank you very much.